Well, hello. Woo! Excuse me. Today's a day. The warmth. Hi, Asika. Hi, cystic1. Um,
Hello.
Thank you for coming on my show, Cognizance. Um, just to give a rundown to both of you and to people who are watching. This is a show about awareness. It's not a debate show. It's not an argument show. I'm here to ask you questions because I'm a curious person on people's lives, and I want to know more about them and know more about their opinions and their realities because we all live different lives, and realities and facts are different within everybody. So that's pretty much my base of the show. Um, so today's topic is about video games and their benefits. As we know, media really loves to portray video games as toxic, evil stuff. But you know, all of us being in this whole video game industry for a long time, we know the benefits of it. So that's what we're here to talk about today. But to start it off, pretty calm and collected. I want to know a little bit more about yourselves, and what do you want to tell the people watching right now um, about yourselves? So either of you can start.
Sika, take it away.
Alrighty, well, just about me in general or about my stream?
You anything you would like to tell
Okay.
anybody?
Yeah, I mean, a lifelong gamer. Been a streamer full time for about a year and a half now. Full time or a streamer for in general for like 5 to 6 years, and like really, I mean, for me personally, uh, video games have always just been a way for me to like communicate with people, express myself, and just like have a place where I can exist and feel like I matter. So really just like my whole purpose of really existing has always like just been to share that love with people and try to just change people's minds about games and just, do it in a positive way.
Awesome, awesome. What about you, Cystic? What do you want to let our viewers know?
So let's see. I've actually been full time streaming now for like 4 months or something like that. Been playing games my entire life, like childhood, forever, starting back with like, old regular Nintendo, things like that. I was actually born with a condition called cystic fibrosis. And so most of my life I spent in a hospital. And video games for me, I went through the whole thing of, bullying, people making fun of you, all that kind of stuff. Growing up, I was super small, always sick, with cystic fibrosis. If you catch a common cold, you end up in the hospital. So my mom was very much like, you ever watch that movie Bubble Boy with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah.
That was me, basically.
Okay.
And so, like video games for me, I was really big into reading and all that. And games, my biggest thing was like RPGs because they were able to I was able to go somewhere else and not be in my reality of hospitals and needles and all that. And as I've gotten older, I've found that kind of the joy that games bring me. I've found that through streaming and all that, I've been able to give that back. And that's basically all I do with my stream because I just want to make a space for people to be able to go and not be judged no matter about anything and just have a good time
Yeah, especially in this world where judging happens a lot.
all the time.
It's definitely wonderful to have places where you can go to just relax, have fun, and it's kind of like hanging out with friends. I've been a long time viewer myself, now starting to get into the stream game. Um, but it's just so much fun to have like a small little community. Um,
Mhm.
so a quick little fun question. What is your dream setup? It doesn't have to be like the specs or anything, but it can be like the room or anything like that. Like what's the fun stuff that you want for your streams?
I mean, I want a cool little light up computer like Cystic has. I
I
want cool little rainbow lights. All I
Amazon
want.
14.99.
There you go. Actually, I do have some. I actually have some. I just need to
Mine aren't
put
even
them
the
up.
cool ones. They have a remote control, so they don't even.
Yeah.
I just set them. So I was
That's
like,
still
just be
cool.
bright.
That's still so cool.
Just be bright.
Personally, for me, I just want to have my own space. Like, I stream in my living room, and you can see like my girlfriend set up behind me, and I sit next to a washer dryer. So, like, we're trying to wash our comforter today. It's sitting beside me on the floor because with this interview and stuff, like, it makes the washer go and the dryer go crazy. So,
Oh,
I would
okay.
love to like not also like my kitchen's right there too. So,
Yeah, my
honestly, my
kitchen's
dream
right here
setup
too.
Yeah. Dream
Is that
setup is
dubstep in
just
the background?
quiet. Yeah, literally. And like I can literally like the bathroom is right there too. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I just want to have like my own office, my own space that I can decorate. Like I don't really care about like flashy, like I see people do like this perfect cable management and I don't really care about that stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't really need like I just want the basic tools I need. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily need like my camera kind of looks a little crappy right now because my lighting or something, but I don't need the fancy DSLR camera. I just need stuff to work. That's it. And just my own space that I can kind of call my own and decorate how I want.
Exactly. Well, that's exciting. What about
Mhm.
you, Cystic? I know you got the flashy lights going right now, but is there anything else that you want part of your setup?
Well, actually, what it's something that I'm working towards now. Kind of my dream for, I mean, as long as I can remember, is to kind of do like van life and live on the road because, I've done public speaking. I was the executive director of a nonprofit foundation that did stuff for cystic fibrosis, and I just love traveling and meeting new people. And so last year, like late last year, I got on a new medication for my condition called Trikafta, and it's basically kind of cured me. So it's been a huge like existential crisis type situation of going from like most of your life being sick to like, hey,
Mhm.
you're normal and you have a future. There you go. It's like,
That's
oh,
that's
that's this is
amazing.
new.
Honestly, that's
And so now what I'm about to do is I'm next month I'm about to grab an RV and I'm pretty much taking all you see here and I'm shoving it in an RV and I'm hitting the road and basically just taking what I have now and kind of doing I want to start a podcast and just be able to interview people kind of like what you're doing here, just
yeah.
know about people's lives and
Mhm.
what inspires people, because what I've learned through my stream is so many people have a story and lending someone an ear does so much for people that they just don't feel like they have a voice and being able to give them that. So
Yeah.
basically just going to take what we have now. I'll maybe put some more flashy lights in just because I'm a sucker for the RV.
Right.
But just go into an RV and just travel the country trying to spread some positivity basically.
Well, that's
Mhm.
that's lovely. I definitely love positivity and light and sunshine. My Instagram is very annoying with that stuff. Just letting everybody know. um, so we obviously know that you love video games. That's why we're here. What brought you to start streaming? Like, what were your beginnings with streaming? How did it start up?
Who's going first?
You go first this time.
It's
It's your turn.
accurate.
Oh, I'm going. All right, I'm
You're
going.
going first this time.
Well, I started streaming because for a long time I used to write all the time, like on like live journal and things like that. Like
Yeah.
my mom was a writer, and I've always grown up just loving to like write and things. And so I used to do blogs all the time about just all sorts of stuff. And then when YouTube became big and people started doing like vlogs, I was like, oh, that's awesome. So then I kind of transitioned over to vlogs. And then Twitch got big and I started watching people stream and I was like, oh, that'd be rad too. It's just another way for me to like interact with people and kind of spread some positivity. So that's really what the whole main thing that got me into streaming because I not only do I play games on stream, I build like there's a ton of like Lego models behind me.
Oh,
I
that's
do
cool.
that. We have story times, just anything. I love streaming because I did YouTube for so long and you probably know, but the YouTube comment sections are so toxic. And it's
They're
just,
vicious.
yeah, people with a comment section feel like they just can say anything. And
Yeah.
I think I like live streaming because it's just honest. Like you can only be yourself. There's no like if you
Yeah.
stutter, there's no cutting it out or anything. It's just straight up
Exactly.
Mhm.
honest and pure. And that's what I love about streaming and what kind of made me gravitate towards it.
Yeah. That's awesome. What about you, Asika?
I mean, you were there when I
I know
started
I was
streaming,
there,
so.
but for everybody else.
Yep. Back, yeah, I just started like we had a guild in World of Warcraft back in 2013, and yeah, we had like newer players that would want to like do stuff with us, but it's just like okay, but like you don't really know how to play yet, so I would stream when we were doing something. So we were doing Mogusham vaults at the time. So we would stream our Mogusham vault raids, and then we would do rated battleground streams as well, and then just kind of like BS streams where we were just kind of joking around and playing WoW and whatever and having fun. And it was never anything like I had 13 followers, and it was all people from the guild, and it was literally just like I would sit there and I'd watch YouTube, and I would see like Panzer and all these other like female gamers like making YouTube videos and putting it out there. And I'm like, how the heck do they do that?
Yeah.
So we kind of sat there and we figured it out and we figured out how to stream to Twitch. And then like, and I was also at the time I was on my own in the US finishing up my degree. So I was like super lonely because I lived in the in New Hampshire by myself in winter. So I didn't have a car and all I had was like my laptop and like, you know, work. Essentially, I was working in an acute psychiatric facility. So just like needed something to do, and yeah, we just started. I met Lisa through a guild, and then my friend Gonger as well. We kind of roped him into our shenanigans via
Yeah.
recruiting his friend Connor actually to our guild. And then when I moved back home, my internet, it's like I tried to stream again. I didn't really know the technical aspects yet,
Yeah.
so I didn't really know how to troubleshoot when it like, oh, it's so bad, it's so choppy.
Yeah.
So I couldn't figure out how to fix that. So I just said, whatever, screw it. I'll just, I'll pick it up again one day. And then in like 2015, I think it was, I got really into H1Z1 and then was like, yo, like ran into a streamer actually in the game. And like what he was doing, I thought was really cool. I'm like, man, like we do this. We're hilarious. Like,
Right? Like we
why
can
can't
crack
I do
codes.
this? And then just like kind of fired it back up again. And like it was still kind of choppy, but then some like I ended up killing my friend in game. And he ended up like, and I was like, whoa, what the hell? Scandal? I'm like, what the heck? So I went to his stream and was like, "What the hell, dude? He's streaming what?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's Asikaa!" Like we had
Yeah.
just been in a guild on WoW together. It always comes back to WoW, I swear.
Right. It always goes
It
back
really
there.
does. It really freaking does. So yeah, just like they helped me troubleshoot, get my stream going again, and then yeah,
Here you are.
yeah, it's like
Awesome.
really what it started for me was an educational thing, and
Mhm.
then it just became like, I don't really fit in any of these communities that exist right now. Like they're all so toxic and homophobic, and
Yeah,
I wasn't
definitely.
I wasn't out until
Agree.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
after the first time I streamed, then I was out the second time.
Yeah.
So, it just didn't really feel like I felt in I fit in, sorry. And I wanted to just kind of make that community myself, and it was all just a hobby, and then really started to like it and decided I'm like I decided I was good at it. You
Yeah.
guys didn't. It was me that was
You're
good.
just like,
So
I feel okay.
I stuck around doing it and here we are today.
Yeah, and I love it, obviously.
Mhm.
So going into the main topic about the benefits of video games, we kind of already touched on it when you streaming became a passion for both of you, obviously in different ways. But when did you want to pursue it professionally? Did it start right off the bat? I know we kind of touched on that already, or did it more develop later on where you're like, I can monetize this a bit?
It was
Yeah.
definitely later on for me, for sure. So when I first started streaming, how Asika was talking, she had like a really like choppy setup. Let me tell you, when I started streaming, the only thing I had was a MacBook Pro, and so I used a PS4 has like a little app you can put on your Mac to where over Wi-Fi you can send your PlayStation signal to the computer. So I did that. I had a PS4,
That's so
sent it to a
ghetto.
computer, plugged in my controller to like the Mac. What it was a nightmare. So I had a setup like my streaming screen was like the actual gameplay was probably like this big of it. And the rest was just like an outline and design I made because people probably thought I did that because like, oh, he just wants it to look like that. No,
Yeah,
it's because
no.
I think I had to stream at like I don't know, maybe like 30, 28 FPS,
Oh,
something. It was horrible.
this
Like
is where we started, chat. This is
like
how streaming was.
yo, it was so bad. And then like the actual, I think I was only able to output at like 360p. Like it was so bad. So I was like, I just gotta be really charismatic with this and go
Yeah.
with it. But then as I started going, I was like, I really loved it as far as like just the community I was building and the people who came over from my YouTube. And then I started thinking, I was like, oh, well, like I actually enjoy this. Like, and there's toxic people when you stream, but whenever you're live and streaming, if someone comes in being toxic, you can just send them
Yeah,
on their way.
bye-bye. Yeah.
Yeah, goodbye. And so that's when I was like, man, I really like it, made me feel good. And then people started telling me, they were like, man, we like that's like the highlight of our week or whatever is when we tune in for the stream. And I was like, oh well, that's kind of what got me to be like, I want to try to pursue this like full time. And I've went back and forth between working and everything. And then recently I just quit Amazon and I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done working for Jeff Bezos for a plethora of reasons. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm just diving 100% into this because not only because if you make money from it, it's awesome to make money from your passion, but just being able to give back to people and do stuff that you love, I mean, you can't really put a price on that.
You really can't. Yeah, for me, yeah, it was like December 2016, and I think at that point I'd probably been streaming for about a year and a half or so. And you know, I was working like pretty much full time, and then there was a point where, God, I think I was working like 3 jobs and streaming on top of that.
I remember
So
that.
basically, like, yeah, I mean, I was working in this like where I was living during the day, and then driving out to the city to work at my job there, and then working from home streaming, and it was all just for fun, like I was saying. And then, like, you know, started to get more viewers, started getting people telling me like, oh, I canceled my cable subscription, or like, you know, it really means a lot to me that you're, you know, the way that you know, you're so positive, and like you create a safe space for us. And like I started getting that feedback, and just kind of started seeing the streaming industry shift, and like seeing how much like money I was able to make. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, it starts helping out with the bills and whatnot. And then,
Mhm.
you know, I decided it was December 2016. I'm like, man, or it might have been November. I'm like, I really want to push for partner on Twitch, but there was like no information really, like like what they were looking for, what the guidelines were. It was like people with like 200-300 viewers, you know, maybe some smaller communities if you streamed a smaller game. But
Mhm.
like, I mean, it was pretty easy. Like if you stream, like I would like play H1Z1 all day, and then I'd finish my stream with a Gario, and I have like 100 people in my stream just playing a Gario. So it's like, okay, maybe this is attainable. But then, like, you know, a couple streamers died, and it's like, man, like there is no feedback from them. Like we don't know like what we have to do to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, I mean, you don't have to be a partner to monetize your stream. Partnership is one journey.
Yeah.
Obviously, like it's the more popular route.
Mhm.
So I heard about Beam at the time, and they laid it all out like 30 viewers, and I'm like, man, I'm getting that right now, no problem.
Yeah.
300 followers. I'm like, man, I can get that in my sleep. So kind of made that transition. Yeah.
No
And
big.
then it took me 6 months, 3 tries in 6 months to get there. But I had a few life things that happened in those 6 months. Like I went through like I had gotten married, and then 9 months later had a split with my wife. You know, started going through, and I'm still not divorced. We're still married. Super
Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah.
But you know, it just, yeah, like it was all this stuff that was going on that like it just made it kind of difficult for me. And there was a point where I had to literally stop and rebuild my stream again. So
Mhm.
the fact that I was able to do that, like, you know, within those 6 months, like it still amazes me. And you know, I ended up getting partnered in July, and then it was kind of, you know, it was kind of a roller coaster for the last like 3 years, between getting amazing opportunities with Mixer, you know, representing the community, representing the LGBT community, the female community, and just, you know, a lot of opportunities on panels. So I was always very, very thankful for that. Because really at the end of the day, like, you know, now being a Twitch partner, like Twitch partner was always the goal. But,
Mhm.
you know, I'm really glad that I went through what I went through, because if I hadn't, I don't think I would be as prepared as I am now.
Mhm.
Because like it really, I mean, Mixer partnership was great, but it was really kind of the sideshow, and
Yeah.
Twitch is really kind of the big show
Mhm.
more so. So, you know, all those lessons and mistakes I made over those 3 years, like I can now apply them here, and not make them again, hopefully. We'll see.
Right. It's
But
it's definitely a learning journey throughout this whole time.
mhm,
As a streamer, you know, you've told me, you know, always be prepared for the next step, and here I am trying to
mhm,
catch up to the step I'm at because I didn't
mhm.
expect the growth that I was getting. So yeah, trust me, I don't forget that now.
Mhm.
So cystic, can you explain a little bit more about cystic fibrosis to anyone who isn't really aware of what exactly it is, just to give everyone a little bit of a baseline here?
Yeah, so cystic fibrosis is a genetic condition that you're born with. Both your parents have to have the gene, so the CF gene, and 9 times out of 10, if both parents have the gene, the kid is going to be born with CF. And CF, so it's categorized like as a lung disease, because that's the main part that it hits. So with CF, you have to do at least, I mean, before the new medication came out, before all that happened, I was doing 3 hours a day of breathing medication. So I have this vest that I put on that kind of looks like an astronaut jacket
Oh,
that
wow.
shakes up and gets the mucus loose from you, doing like hour and a half of breathing medications, inhalers.
Wow.
But it doesn't just affect your lungs. I also have to take digestive enzymes before I eat because what really kind of what's happening in your body is the mucus secretions are super thick and you don't have a certain protein that folds that caught like whenever someone gets sick with a cold and you can get the mucus out and all that, with people with CF it's 10 times harder to do that, and so it ends up sitting in there and causing lung infections, scarring and such. And so the life expectancy, I'm not sure what it is now since all of the new stuff has came out, but the life expectancy whenever I was born was in the 20s. They told my parents when I was born I wouldn't live to see 3 years old, and if I did, definitely prepare to bury me by my teenage years. And then it got, as the years progressed, it's gotten better, like more medications have came out, and this was long before the modulators, which the medication that I was telling you about is referred to as a modulator because it changes your body and it changes basically the whole cellular structure of your body. And the life expectancy would go up. But the thing about CF is there's so many gene types to it. So I have the gene type that's called double delta F508, which is one of the most common and one of the most severe. But as research started happening, as we progressed, they started finding hundreds upon thousands of other gene types. And so what would happen is you would have someone with a gene type that's very they probably have no symptoms whatsoever. But then, this person's up living to, 50, 60, 70 years old. It causes the life expectancy to go up. But with CF, I've lost more people to this disease under 25 than I can count. Best friends, I've watched pass. So it's one of the leading killers in people and young adults out there that really doesn't have a lot of recognition. Like people kind of know of it now because it's been in episodes of Grey's Anatomy, portrayed horribly, mind you. And then there was actually a movie that came out last year or 2 years ago called 5 Feet Apart, directed by Justin Baldoni. And he wrote a movie with a girl named Claire, who was a big YouTuber. She had CF and all that, but she got a double lung transplant and ended up passing away due to complications kind of right after all that happened. And so it's a genetic illness. And now that the new medications have came out, there's, it's kind of weird because you have people like me who all my life, as soon as I wake up in the mornings, it's been like, you got to do your breathing treatments, you got to do your medicine, you got to do the vest, or else you just can't breathe. I'm just no good to anybody unless I do all those. And so now I can just get up and I don't do any breathing medications anymore. Don't do any of my lung therapy. The only thing I take is the actual medication, my digestive enzymes, and that's about it. But there's actually 10% of the population that can't take this medication because of their gene type. And it can also cause severe liver issues and tons of stuff. So there's an even higher population that can't take it because of side effects. So people look at it whenever the life expectancy goes up and they're like, oh, it's almost like they think, oh, it's not a big deal now. People are doing fine. People are living longer, but it varies so much between case to case because you can have two people, same gene type, born on the same day, same height, same weight. This person is thriving and this person is dying on a transplant list. And that's what I've been faced with a lot because I had a mom who was amazing with, taking care of me, teaching me how to take care of myself. And then I would have these friends who were doing the same things as me and I had to watch them pass away. And so that's why spreading awareness about CF, and not just CF, but mental health, because there's a lot that goes along with that. Watching your friends pass away. That's why I kind of, with streaming and all that, that's what I advocate for and try to push towards. Because when you grow up in hospitals, the stuff that people think matters in the world doesn't matter. Whether it's, sexual orientation, color of your skin, religion, none of that at the end of the day, whenever you've been to so many funerals, none of that matters. We're all just humans, and we should just be good to one another.
Yeah, definitely.
I know I kind of veered a little bit on that question, but it just zigs and zags out of one another.
This is what this show is about, because I'm learning more about you. you know, these are the things we're bringing awareness to these subjects that a lot of people don't know about. I didn't know basically 90% of what you just said. So thank you for that. Asikaa, I know you touched on that you came out like kind of early on in the stream game, but a little later I think it was. It's been a long time. We've known each other for a long time. What difficulties have you come around with that? Because as we know, you know, video game communities can be a little vicious. Um, so have you ran into any difficulties with people just being ignorant and all?
Oh yeah, there's this like common conception that, oh, well, I have one gay friend, so I can say the FAG word because my one gay friend told me I was allowed to. Like, I was in a raid group, and not this tier, but the last tier in Eternal Palace. And just like we ran like a little community group, nothing crazy, but we'd raid a couple nights a week. And it was mostly just random people. And yeah, this dude just like comes in hot with it. Like, like, he was with his girlfriend, and even still, like, I mean, like, I don't use the word personally. I don't know any of my friends that do. And I just was kind of taken aback by it and kind of just was like, hey, can you not use that word? For one, I'm streaming, and for two, that's super offensive.
Yeah.
And then his girlfriend's like, oh, he doesn't mean it that way. Like, he's we have a gay friend and he said it's okay to use it. Like, sorry, like it doesn't work like that. Like,
The
so
ignorance is bliss excuse.
yeah, just so stuff like that. And I'm like, I kind of try to pick the battles, but really at the end of the day, and it's funny because if I say, hey, I'm streaming, okay, no worries, I won't say it. But as soon as I say, hey, that's offensive, then it's like,
Then it's a problem.
excuse. So
Yeah.
kind of weird, but is what it is. And then really just trying to learn more about the community itself, because I didn't grow up in it, because I was so focused on trying to be normal that I didn't really have experience. And now you know I'm thrust into this world, well, where my friends are coming to me and like asking me what's it like to come out as trans. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I know what it's like to come out in my scenario, but I'm like, I have no clue what the experience of others is. I'm like, don't just lump us all in. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to know the experience of that person, like, talk to that person in your life and ask them questions. Like, obviously, you ask them first if it's okay, but everyone just lumps everybody into a group. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, you're in this group and you know everything. And I'm like, I actually know nothing. So I've been on this like quest for knowledge in the last like few months to just really, because I sit there and I say, hey, I'm this welcoming community. We welcome everybody. But then a lot of times, like, I didn't really have like a big understanding. And I did find myself to be a little bit more judgmental towards some groups. And it was just like really just lack of knowledge and lack of experience. And so once I kind of got into that like learning process and knowledge process, I started to learn a lot more, and just like really actually what does it mean to actually accept a person for their differences. It's not, you know, taking it at face value, but then still making jokes. Like people come in my chat all the time and make furry jokes. And like I don't tolerate them, because at the end of the day, I'm like, some of my really good friends are furries.
Yeah.
Like, you might think it's weird, but like, you know, they're not out here like trying to shove anything. Nobody's shoving anything down anybody's throats. People
No.
just want to live and exist. And part of that is exist in an environment where jokes aren't made about you.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like I'm, I just don't try to promote that. So I really kind of I took a look at myself and was like, am I really, telling and preaching all these things? So went on this really interesting path. It kind of got a little bit of a hiccup with Mixer closing down. That kind of put me into a little bit of a tailspin, just trying to figure out what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty amazing, and I think the biggest piece is just challenging yourself to learn more about others, because again, like I said, I really only know my experience, and I'm not saying that I know anybody else's experience now better than I did before, but at least now, like, I have way more acceptance, way more experience, I guess is the word. And it's really helped me connecting with other people, in chat and just trying to do my best to make people feel welcome. Um, yeah, so specifically when I came out, I wasn't streaming to stream yet. So I came out, like I said, when I was 25. It was right when I kind of finished school, and it was just this like, I'm tired of being alone thing. I can't make relationships work the normal way. So obviously, there's something else going on. So, started to experiment with that. And, again, when you haven't been in a relationship before, it can get a little interesting. And hence the relationship and breakup. But we all make mistakes, and you got to do it when you're young, right? And I learned so much about myself and about other people through that. It was hell, but I just tell
Experiences are
people,
not easy, that's for sure.
yeah, because I'm always open to about like my struggles with my mental health and all that too. And it's like I just try to show people like, look, I went through this really difficult time, but I got through it. It wasn't easy, but I got through it. I made a lot of things harder for myself, but like once I started doing XYZ, like things got a little bit easier,
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, that was kind of my experience coming out as a streamer.
That's the tricky thing about mental health, though, is like
Mm-hmm.
you'll know, like part of your brain is like, this is not right, this is dumb the way I'm thinking, but it doesn't matter like what you think. Like the mental health aspect is like, nah, like it
Yeah.
just, whatever it feeds you, then you just end up going further and further down.
Yeah,
I know
Mhm.
that
that's
well.
rough, and it's nice that the awareness of mental health and more the acceptance of that. Not everyone's perfect, and everybody has a mental health situation going on in their head with certain depressions for different things. There's triggers. So it's nice that that's starting to gain more traction and that we're aware of it, and hopefully that brings out more of acceptance and you know in the industry as
Mhm.
well. Um, so with these difficulties, with both the streaming or just in your personal lives, what does video games bring to you? What is that beautiful moment in these streaming careers, or just with video games in general? What makes you so happy to be playing video games?
I mean,
Uh,
personally for me, it's the like I always bring it back to World of Warcraft because it's the ultimate experience of people working towards a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're rating like they always it's said that like you tend to like someone more after you've played a game with them because you put yourself out there. It's kind of it can be a little bit uncomfortable for you to do and weird. Like I still feel weird DMing people to be like, hey, would you want to play XYZ with me, you know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
But once you get in it and it's like the first time you experience that like epic win or that epic victory, it's a true bonding experience. And like the way that we exist in video games, we don't get that experience in real life. We don't get the same feedback. We don't get the same, experiences when we're in real life, you know what I mean? Like when
Yeah.
you're at your job, it's always, passive aggressive. People don't say what they mean. Friendships are weird and
Yeah.
that work dynamic. But when you're in a video game, if you die, you did something wrong,
Yeah.
So that's what I've kind of always appreciated with it. And also like, the storytelling aspect of it. Like, it's great because you get to watch the movie and play the movie at the same time. So I'm always like super appreciative of these like epic, like the Uncharted series. Uncharted 4 is like 7 hours of cinematics alone, right?
Yeah.
But for like, me in World of Warcraft cinematics, like
Varian.
bawling my eyes out, like to this day, even thinking about it,
Yes. Oh my
and
gosh.
it just
Sarfang. Oh my gosh.
yeah, there's a reason it leaves an impactful it leaves an impact on you. And a lot of like it teaches us empathy at the end of the day too. Like, I didn't really get into Harry Potter and all those books growing up, but I sure as hell was into StarCraft pretty hardcore. And the story arc of like Kerrigan and Rayner was like for me, that was like my childhood love story, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just it's really hard. It's without having people experience it, like it's really hard to explain it to people.
Exactly. Exactly. What about for your you, Cystic?
No, like what a lot of Asika said, it's the same for me. And like whenever whenever you play games and all that, you're kind of free in a way.
Mhm.
It's a way, because for a long time, like I was telling you earlier, I used it as a way to kind of escape reality in a way. I was able to be this person. I wasn't sick. The first game that I really like, I spent hundreds of hours in, was Final Fantasy 7, like PS1. Like I grinded that game into the ground. But it's
Yeah.
like just the story and everything going with it. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of used, like, games to me have become something else, to where like The Last of Us Part 2. I know you got people who despise it for
Yeah.
a billion dumb reasons. You got people who love it. I thought it was a masterpiece. Like I loved it. And I played it on stream, and I still have the VODs up. I don't know how many times I just sobbed because
Mhm.
like lately I've been just leading up. I just turned 30 July the 8th. And I wasn't supposed to ever make it to this age before. And last year, June of last year, I actually tried to take my life because I was just done with everything. Like I was with my friends passing, I had a relationship, like a marriage that went to crap. I was left with all this like debt, and I was just kind of done with it. And I ended up going and getting help for it. But The Last of Us Part 2 was like that that if you've played the game, I don't want to give away any spoilers for anyone who hasn't played the game, so I'm trying to word
Walk
it
in a
right.
line, buddy.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I gotta put
But
that
just
in
the
my
way
terms.
that it weaves it in and out of telling that story, and how just like the guilt of things, and how to like let things go.
Mhm.
That game, like, that was kind of a life-changing thing for me. And it's been happening a lot lately when I've been playing games, whereas you use the games for an escape, but then you start playing them and you start working through your own kind of issues that you didn't even realize you were working through, but the games bring out. Like, it just happened again recently. I was playing, we knocked out Hellblade, Sinuous Sacrifice, like in one night. And that game is mainly you're just hacking away at these Viking demons the entire time, but then it all comes full circle at the end of the game
Oh,
and
okay.
hits you in a way that you don't expect. And I just sobbed, like, just uncontrollably.
Yeah.
So games for me, it's an escape. It's a way to kind of escape your day to day and be able to do like heroics and just stuff like Asika said you wouldn't be able to do in our regular lives. But then as I've gotten older and started playing things, you can learn a lot. So many people learn a lot from books. How she was saying, the Harry Potter series and
Yeah.
things like that. People take away from those things. And why can't we take away from video games the same impact and the same meanings that books do, or that
Yeah.
movies do? People always, they'll be like, this is my favorite book. It did this for me. This is my favorite movie. It changed my life.
Mhm.
Well, why can't we do that for video games? Like, there's such a stigma around video games that if you play video games, you're lazy, you're a slacker, you just sit around eating Cheetos all day and
I mean,
nothing
I
like
do.
that. I do, I do as well. I have
We
some,
love our
there's
I
Cheetos.
actually
love
some
the
Cheetos
Cheetos.
right out of frame over here. I ain't gonna bring those in, but they're there. Don't worry. But it's the same way. Like, I just feel like so many people look at video games in a negative way. But then even it's crazy because you have someone like Ninja who has legit made a career out of it. Like, that dude makes more money than most people ever will. And you still
Yeah.
have people like in his Twitter comments being like, "Oh, you're just a loser that plays video games." And I'm like, bruh,
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
So for me, it's just being able to take, escape kind of your reality and, all that. But yeah, what you can take away from video games now, to me, it's kind of changed. And that's what I do now. Like, when I play them, I'm just like, I take away a lot, and I'm able to take what, I kind of do in video games and relate it to my life and to work through or heal through traumas or just whatever you're going through.
Yeah, definitely. Since we are touching on the subject about how people they're viewing the fishbowl of video games as you're lazy, you're just playing games, you're just trying to escape, that kind of thing. Um, the media does reflect video games in horrible ways, especially when there's a lot of crisis and events that happen. Sometimes that stigma of video games comes back up again. how does this make you feel? And do you agree or disagree that there's some aspects of video games that are bad?
Oh,
I
this
know.
is my
Oh, go for
this
it.
is my bread
Get
and
it,
butter. This
girl.
was my life for 12
it.
years.
Get
Yeah,
it, girl.
I worked.
This is you.
I worked in children and youth for 12 years. I worked in I worked in a youth center. I worked in skateboarding. I did summer camp. I did it all. Um, and there was this research that was done a long, long time ago in the 1960s by a guy named Bandura that involved some dolls and kids watching adults beat up the dolls, and some kids watching the adults not beat up the dolls, and blah 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 blah. And basically, what he pulled from it is that like if kids observe violence, they're gonna be violent.
Okay.
But did y'all watch Power Rangers?
Oh, of course.
Two of you did. How many times after you watched Power Rangers did you go and beat the hell out of your brother and sister? Never, right?
No.
I mean, beyond normal sibling, like.
I just tried to go and morph and was greatly disappointed.
Yeah,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
I tried to like.
Orphan time. No.
I just wanted to fight some buddies, man. Like, I don't want to fight my brother. I want to fight some. They look easy. Like, hello.
Right.
But that's the thing is like, I didn't sit there and watch the Power Rangers and be like, I gotta go get somebody. But that being said, if a child does have a predisposition to be violent, or if they do have maybe they don't have as good of a frustration tolerance of the other kids, there's lots of other factors that go into it. We can't just sit there and pinpoint and blame video games. It's really easy to do it, especially when there's an election coming up and there's a bunch of mad moms, going around on YouTube or wherever they're going around these days, Facebook, because that's where all the moms are now.
Yeah.
It's really easy. And even to this day, like, that research from the freaking 1960s. Think how much the world has changed since 1960.
Exactly.
Kids do have a lot of stimulus, but, this is where it comes in where like parents, you have to do your jobs in knowing what your kids are doing, knowing what they're accessing. If your kid does have trouble, like if they're like, I used to smash the hell out of my controllers, when I got pissed off, and like, I wish I had been taught how to calm down and not break my controllers, because mom didn't replace them.
Yeah.
We weren't lucky like that. You had to wait till your birthday or Christmas to get a new controller if you broke it. So, I mean, that's kind of how we learned. But, when I worked in skateboarding, the way I kind of described it to kids was like, okay, you see, so like the younger kids I'm talking about, like the 10s and 12-year-olds that I would work with, I'd sit there and I'd be like, all right, you see Jimmy over there. You see him freaking out again because he didn't land a trick for the 20th time. You see how he's freaking out? Like, yeah, he looks really dumb. Like, yeah, he looks really dumb. Hey, yeah, that's when you do it, that's how people look at you and think about you. So when I'm playing a game and I start freaking out, like that's the first thing I think of is like, oh man, whenever I have a friend freaking out, I'm like, man, just calm the hell down.
Yeah.
Like it's not that big of a deal, And it happens, right? We get frustrated. Like I was freaking out like 2 weeks ago about horrific visions on WoW, like, but
Yeah.
you try to rein it in, but it's a skill that I've learned over time. Like I can sit there and lose 20 million times in Fortnite. I don't go pick up a gun and shoot anybody. Like none of my experiences in video games, I've never wanted to act out. So the thing is it's this predisposition, it's environment, it's all these other things that come into play, and people need to move on and just realize like, they want something to blame. But like, the X Games, when they did the Apex Legends tournament at the X Games, there was a shooting that had happened and they decided not to broadcast it.
Yeah.
Which, okay, fair, whatever. But how many TV shows did people watch that day that had shooting? How many movies were on TV? How many whatevers, right? Like, why are you targeting one form of media and not looking at all the others? Like people have been watching Westerns, for how long? I don't see anybody jumping on a horse and going into town and asking for a duel.
What I do? That's what I do every Tuesday. What are you talking about?
That's tomorrow.
I mean, I would do the horse part. To see me going downtown San Diego on a horse, that'd be wonderful.
You might make the news.
That's true.
You might make the news.
That's true.
I used to live in San Diego. Don't remind me of it.
Oh, never mind.
Okay, Cystic isn't going to Tato's house. Okay, noted.
Yeah, got it. That was really eye-opening. that I didn't know about that study. I've kind of heard of it, but
I'll link it for you.
yeah, please
I'll link it
do,
for you.
because knowing that it's from 1960 compared to what we have now and resources that we have now, I like you said,
Yeah.
it's different now,
Don't
and there's
don't
more
have your
knowledge.
7-year-old playing a mature rated game.
That's
Like,
another thing, definitely.
easy,
Yeah.
Karen.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You're gonna
Cystic,
get so
do you
many
have
Karens
any?
in your inbox
I
now.
know, great.
That's a slur.
Yeah, totally. My aunt's named Karen, so sorry, Auntie Karen, if you
Right.
watch this.
Cystic, do you have anything else to add about the media and the bad reflection of video games? What are they missing? What's going on?
Well, no, it's. I mean, Asika covered most of it, but it's the whole thing of if if kids watch this or play this, they're gonna enact this. I think that it's BS because it depends case by case because you never know what background this kid is coming from, what this person's been through, what maybe undiagnosed mental issues this person doesn't have. So, you know, I feel like anybody can take away something violent from anything if they have like the predisposition for it. But, for me, the way that I look at the things is I was raised not my mom, because I was raised primarily just by my mom, but both sides of my family, you had one side who were very religious in a negative way, and so if you were gay or anything like that, you were going to hell. And then I have this other side of my family who bragged about being in the KKK. And so and that's kind of bringing it around to growing up in hospitals and all that. One of my favorite nurses ever in the hospital, his name was Rob. He was out, he was gay, and he was proud. And I remember it's one of those weird memories that are kind of like etched in your brain that you never forget. And I remember sitting in clinic and I asked my mom, because I don't know how old I was super young, but I was like, Mom, why does Rob act like a girl? Because I was just a kid. And she was like, you know how you like girls? I was like, yeah. She's like, well, Rob likes guys. And that's all it took. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was it. And I always think back to that. And then around I'm in North Carolina. So around like the southern parts and all that, you always have people that use the excuse of ignorance as, oh, that's how they were raised. That's how this person was. That's how they were raised. And I'm like, I was raised around the same stuff and I didn't turn out like that. And so I feel like that whole thing of like if someone plays a violent video game, they're going to be violent. It's such BS because you there's so many factors that go into that and go into what people could take away from it. Like, no, it's not, because video games for so many people are an escape. Like I've said, it's a way to, just get out of the day to day. It's a way to make you feel like you're somebody when maybe you're a kid who's getting bullied all the time. And then, you log into a game, you log into, Uncharted or something like that. You're Nathan Drake, you're this superhero and all that. You're this good looking, like alpha, like awesome hero. And it's a way to, you're just like, oh, I feel good about myself. So that whole thing of like people are, violent video games and cause violent people, there's not enough research behind it, because there's so many factors that they don't take in consideration. They basically want to do like the media always does. And they're just like, here, let's just take this blanket and put it over everything, and there you go. So no, I don't agree with that at all.
Exactly. So a little bit more about your communities and the benefits within your communities. Have you seen anything with video games and the benefits that it's given your communities? How do your communities interact with one another? Sorry. Woo. What are the benefits for video games for your communities?
I mean, it brings us all together at the end of the day. Like I'm very thankful that I have a lot of people who will watch me no matter what I'm doing. I always kind of laugh. Like somebody was saying yesterday, Krillia was saying, he's like, you debated me into thinking you were just a WoW streamer. As I'm sitting there, and I played like 4 different games that day. I've played like, I can't even remember. We played PGA, we played Scribble, we played golf with friends. Like we played a good variety. And I'm like, I've just always been a gamer. Like I don't play one game. I didn't play a game because my brother told me about World of Warcraft and I got to play on his computer to start playing it because mom's computer was a piece of garbage that wouldn't run it very well. But like it's just something that kind of just brings us all together. And that's why, like, I've never, like, there's times, obviously, like, you know, when a WoW expansion drops, it's a little bit busy for WoW. But, you know, I think this will be the first time ever, too, that I, like, balance it and play other things while still going through the initial stages of a WoW expansion. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be hard, definitely.
You know, you get to pick up on so many different things about people and about games. Like, imagine saying you like fruit, but you only eat apples, you know? Like, can you really say that you like fruit, or do you just say you like apples, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and like, it's interesting how, like, other people also, like, won't really engage with the content. And then you play something that they like, and then suddenly they come out of nowhere and they're like chatting your ear off, and you know, maybe a little bit of backseat gaming, but you know, it's something that you got to be better. And you know, as a human, you know, whenever I'm like, because as it's really tough as a streamer, because you know, somebody will do something that you don't necessarily like, you're not a fan of, and you kind of just see it and you're like, oh, that's really annoying. But then, like, you know, I would get annoyed, and sometimes I still do it if I'm tired or whatever. I'm just like, dude, just shut up.
Yeah,
You know,
of course,
just let me do my
we all
thing,
do
bro.
it,
Like,
yeah.
who cares? And then other times, though, I've just kind of been like, you know what? Especially when it's people who don't always participate. It's like, this is their moment of pride. This is their moment of power, where they're just getting to, like, they're the expert, you know, and they get to share that. And even if I know and have, or I have a different opinion or whatever, you know, I try to not like take those moments away anymore, because like, I really, like, I don't know, I just didn't even think I was doing that until I really kind of thought about it. And I'm like, man, like, you know, yes, it can be frustrating, yes, it can be annoying, but at the end of the day, like, you know, if somebody doesn't really speak up much, and then you give them this option, this opportunity, because I'm doing something new, you know, it's kind of cool to just really pick up on that and build up on people, because like I said, you know, really trying to be this community in person that builds other people up. It's like, man, am I really doing that? And you know, easy explanation, like, yeah, dude, I really appreciate that info, really trying, because it's a journey, right? Every time you play a game, especially single player games, it's a journey, and you want to experience that. And when you do interject, you can ruin that experience for another person. And I think, I don't know how you feel about Lisa, but most of my life has been men telling me what to do and how to do it with everything, whether it's walking down the street. I've always been told that I walk bad. I either walk like a linebacker, or I was told by a high school teacher that I had too much pep in my step.
What?
Like, sorry, I'm in a good mood.
Right.
Like, wow, dude, what the hell, bro? Yeah. So, like, that's kind of been my life experience. So, like, whenever I'm like playing a game, I'm like, yo, people need to chill, man, and just let people play. But
Right, like, let
you know,
me just play.
empower people too, though.
Yes.
If it's like a person that doesn't speak up, and I'm really trying to seize those moments a lot more often. You know?
Definitely. And it's, you know, life is like a single player game sometimes.
Kind of can be.
Yeah, where you're learning and building yourself up throughout it. So definitely. So Cystic, your community, you know, what has video games done for them? How do they interact with each other?
It's my community, like, it's weird because I have like right at over 1,800 followers on Twitch now. So like in the realm of Twitch, I am just like nothing if you go by like followers. But my community has came over from, you know, like Instagram, YouTube, and all that. And what I like a little bit of what I was talking about earlier, of just trying to, you know, spread positivity and be very open about everything. You know, like I said, I do builds. You know, we do gaming, story times, all sorts of stuff on stream, and a little bit of what Asikaa was talking about. I get in those situations so many times to where somebody just says something and they're not even meaning it bad, but for you know, it's just, we're humans, and you're just like, ugh. But I kind of have to stop myself, because I'm like she was saying, where this is their like moment, and how I was saying earlier that everyone wants an ear and all that, to where you have to kind of be like, woosah, like this is their time. Because what I've kind of learned about streaming is it's not just about me. Even though I am, you know, I'm the streamer doing stuff like this, when you start building a community, you have to start worrying, like, that's your community. So you have to start, like, you kind of have to look over them, kind of like protective parent, you know?
Yeah,
So it's like,
definitely.
you know, they may say something to where you like, you're kind of annoyed with, but you have to be like, I have to like listen to this because this is this person's moment, because I've been there before of not having a voice and, this person having a voice. But, with everything with streaming and all that, probably one of the craziest things that's happened lately. And that actually is what pushed me to start streaming again full time. Like quitting Amazon and going back to doing this, full time with everything, is I always have mental health tagged in Twitch. No matter what I'm playing, no matter what I'm doing, I always have the mental health tag. And I forget what we were doing that night, but I got a message on Discord, right? Like probably a couple hours after I ended stream. And it was from this random person. He was like, "Hey man," he's like, "I just wanted to let you know that I saw your stream." He was like, I was actually about to end my life tonight. I'd already wrote my note. I was already ready to go. I already knew how I was going to do it. He's like, but then I randomly put in the mental health chat or the tag on Twitch. He's like, and I thought you had a really cool setup, because kind of what you're seeing here is basically pretty much what my view, like I have a DSLR over there that captures this view, but it's pretty much what you see on stream.
Like
And he was like, I just thought your setup looked cool. So he's like, I put it on there because he was like, I took a bunch of pills, and he was like, I was just kind of using it as background noise. But then he was like, I started listening to you and I started chatting with your community. And he was like, he went silent after a while. And then like a week later, he got back to me, and I just wanted to write you again and let you know, like, your stream was the reason I didn't do it. Because I think I may have been talking about my attempt and everything that went on. And he was like, just hearing you and hearing what you've been through and hearing what your community's been through. He was like, it showed me that there's more out there. There is, because I hate the whole thing of it gets better, because you never know someone's situation. I hate when someone tells me that.
Yeah.
But he just kind of like wrote this long thing, and he was like, I went and got help and I'm so much better now. And he's like, man, your stream was to think like, that's what I think for it. And that is really what made me like, I remember I was reading it actually when I was working at Amazon, and I kind of stopped and read it, and I was like, what am I doing here? I'm working for a guy who's the richest person in the world, who does nothing with his wealth except sits on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, why am I even doing this? So that's where, it brings it back to, it's awesome to make money off what you do, but when you can change people's lives like that's what I'm into it for. And that's why my community is so like, it's just amazing. Like, cause so I streamed on Twitch after I came from YouTube. I started out on Twitch and I almost got up to 1,000 followers. And then everyone started telling me to go to Mixer. Like my friend Tommy, he's Dommy Tanger. He actually started the Go team on Mixer, the charity team that me and Seeker are part of.
Yeah.
And my friend Matt Husky Master, he were like, just come over to Mixer, come over to Mixer. And most people know that Twitch can kind of be very community and family based, but it's also like people are trying to climb over one another and build up. To whereas Mixer was this very like family vibe, everyone welcoming. So I went over to Mixer. I did terrible on Mixer. Like, it was so bad. I probably every time I streamed, it was like to maybe 2 people. And I was like, God, I hope someone hosts me. But by being on Mixer and going to PAX, I met Asikaa and I met so many people from Go Team. And that's why I'm super glad that I went over to Mixer. But eventually I kept streaming, and I was only streaming like 2 people. And I was like, man, like this isn't working. So I came back to Twitch. And even after I came back to Twitch, I kept streaming, and I was like, what am I doing this for? Because I really like to think about what I'm doing and ask myself, like, why are you doing this? And I was doing the thing of grinding, like Call of Duty, Borderlands, I believe, and like Fortnite, just playing it over and over and over. And I didn't enjoy playing it, but I felt like, I had to get bigger. And I was like, man, this just isn't me. So randomly one day I decided to build a Lego set on stream because everyone asked me to do just like a Q&A. And I was like, well, I don't want to sit here. So I started building. And it has just skyrocketed from there. And with like just with the people coming in, like people will join into my stream and they'll be like, they're like, I just saw you randomly and I joined in. And after like a minute of being here, they're like, this stream is like a great vibe. And I'm like, yes, that is what we're going for. So my community in gaming, they're so supportive of whether I'm building, gaming, or anything like that, because it's became its own thing to where I have like 4 mods maybe, but my whole chat's basically acting as my mod. So if someone new comes in, they start talking to them and telling them what the stream's about and all that. And we have so many people who've joined, and I've gotten more letters like what I got from that guy who was like, I was in a really dark space and this whole stream, this community changed my life. So with gaming and just streaming and all that, I can't say enough about it. Just
it's
what it's
definitely
done.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
your stories are beautiful. Your communities are wonderful, and that's what I love about going into these streams is being chatting with everyone, just hanging out with friends. It's like another way to do that while we're watching video games, playing video games, doing something fun, and that's what's beautiful about these communities. Along with charity streams. That's another big thing that a lot of Twitch streamers do is that they'll do streams that benefit hospitals to send gaming consoles over to them, or for a specific person. There's so much you can do with this platform that is wonderful, and it all started with Pong. When you really think about it, that's where one of it started, and it just continued on into this whole thing. And of course, there's the dark sides of this topic, but there's so much light that the world needs to know and be aware of. What I definitely want you two to do, last and least, I know we're a little bit over time, but I want you two to plug yourselves, tell the viewers where they can find you, where they can follow you, go for it.
So you could go for it.
Right. Well, you can catch me at twitch.tv/Asikaa. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Asikaa604, and that's ASIKAA. And then YouTube, I am Asikaa the Gamer. So, yeah, catch me there.
Catch me there.
What about you, Cystic?
Yeah, you can. I usually stream every weekday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Twitch.tv/cystic1. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. It's all cystic1. If you're curious if I'm on something, just type in cystic1, and if it's not there, then I'm not on it. So, but I'm pretty much on everything. I have way too many social medias, but follow me there. Like anyone's welcome there. Like if you just need a community to chill with, just super chill people. You had a bad day, had a good day, whatever. Come in. Everyone's welcome there. You may see me. We may be on story time, or you may see me just being crazy on a build. You never know.
Definitely wonderful. It has been so wonderful to have you two. I know that we can continue this topic for 3 more hours, but it's time for you two to start streaming again. That way I can go on your chats and go hang out for a little while. So have a wonderful day. Everybody, thank you so much for watching and becoming more aware of this topic. It is very important, especially to us, but it should be important to everyone as well. Can't wait to see you next week. Have a wonderful day.
Later.
Bye-bye.